What's going on, guys? Hope you're all having a fantastic day, and welcome to the Outlast trials. Now, I have been absolutely addicted to this game since it came out last week. If you don't know, I am a huge Outlast fan, and since I have no life, I've already maxed out my level at level 40. And I decided I might make a video about the different kind of rigs that you can run in this game. Just in case there's, any new people who might be interested in playing, but they kind of want to see what the different rigs do and what the best loadout could be. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump into it. So there are 4 different types of rigs that you can run in the game, and I want to say up front, I don't think any of them are bad. I do think there are some that are stronger than others, but I would say that if you're running any of them, you're not going to have a bad time with it. And also, most of the rigs really just depend on your personal playstyle, so obviously the way I like to play might be different from the way other people like to play, and that's totally fine. So I'm just going to go through all of them and kind of explain what they do, and then I'll show some gameplay and the way they work in-game. So the first rig we're going to take a look at is Stun, and the first one is just activation, which is the same across the board for all 4 rigs. It's just unlocking them in general. And you can start unlocking rigs at level 2. So what Stun does is you have a little bomb in your hand that you can use to throw at enemies. And the second upgrade is just expanded radius, so multiple enemies can get caught in the explosion, which is pretty nice. This upgrade at level 3 is what I think actually makes the stun worth using, which is you can use it and you can throw it at traps, door traps, mines, anything like that, and just get rid of them, which is super nice when you're running away from enemies. You don't have to worry about hitting a psychosis bomb or anything like that. And then extended duration, that's always nice. Restore, this one is also very helpful because if you use it on like a mine or a door trap or something like that, you get half of your recharge back immediately. So you don't really have to wait for it to recharge very long, which is super helpful. Next is electric boost. So any friends within the blast radius will get full battery and stamina. So this is really helpful if you play co-op, not so helpful if you play solo. And these last 2 are going to be the same for all the rigs as well, just like the first one. So the second to last one, number 7, is always going to be decreased cooldown, so the rig just comes back faster. And then the last one is the rig is ready at the beginning of the trial. You don't have to wait for it to charge initially. So overall, pretty good. Let's take a look at the next one. So the next rig is Blind, which gives you a little landmine that you can put on the ground. And if an enemy runs into it, then that bomb will go off and it will incapacitate them for quite a long time, honestly. And for the sake of your time and mine, I'm gonna skip the ones that are the same across the board. So number 2 is expanded radius, so obviously explosion has a larger range. Then we have deploy technique, which just makes setting the landmine down faster. Extended duration, obviously it lasts longer. Recharge, this one is very, very useful. So after the mine is triggered, it will rearm itself and it can be used twice, which is so helpful. Then we got Frenzy, which when you walk through the smoke of the explosion, you get adrenaline, which is very, very nice, and it works on you and all of your friends. So the next one is Heal, which gives you a little can that you hold in your hand, and when you activate it, it heals yourself and anybody within your general vicinity, which is very helpful, especially if you're playing with a group. Number 2, again, we have expanded radius. The healing effect goes further, always helpful. Silent helps, so the healing occurs silently, so enemies won't get notified, which is very useful. Extended duration, it lasts longer. Detox is pretty nice because you don't have to carry around those little psychosis antidotes anymore. You can just use your rig and it'll cure the psychosis. Poison also affects enemies around you in a radius, which is very, very helpful if you need to just quickly get away from somebody. So it gives just like a short little mini stun. And our last rig is X-Ray, which pretty much it just gives you wall hacks. So you can see the enemies through the walls and there's nothing wrong with that. The first upgrade is Shared Intel, which just allows your friends to see any of the enemies that you tag. Resources Intel, this is when it starts getting pretty useful. So you can see any consumable items nearby if you're looking for something like medicines, batteries, syringes, whatever. What's extra useful about this one specifically is that you can actually see into the locked boxes. So if you have a lockpick, you would know what was behind it. So maybe you're looking for a rig recharge and you know not to open this box because it doesn't have one inside. The next one is classified intel, which if you're someone like me who likes to 100% everything, is great. So you can see any evidence files and posters on the walls and any of those kinds of collectibles, along with like mines on the ground and door traps and those things. Extended duration makes it last longer, always great. Battery transfer is probably the most useful one on here, maybe, depending on who you are. I still go with classified intel, but battery transfer, pretty much your night vision is always on. It doesn't matter how much you use it. I don't think I've ever run out of night vision when I use X-ray, because whenever you use the X-ray, it just recharges the night vision and you can kind of just swap back and forth like that. Really useful. You never have to pick up a battery again. Alright, now let's hop over to some gameplay so I can kind of show you guys how these things work and kind of give my opinion on what I think is the strongest and what I think is the most useful and everything like that. So the first rig I really want to go into is stun. Now, personally, this is the first one I'm showing because I actually think this is the weakest. I don't want anyone to get mad at me, but personally, I think this is the weakest out of all of them. Honestly, if it didn't have the ability to like disarm traps or things like that, I don't think this rig would be worth running at all, because it's essentially just a worse version of the mine. The only thing that's nice about it is that you can instantly just throw the stun. Say you open a door and run into an enemy, you can just throw the stun right at them and get away. The mine, it does take a couple seconds to put down. So that's really the only trade-off, but the mine is just much stronger, but we'll get to mine later. Again, all of this kind of depends on your playstyle, and if you want to throw a grenade at somebody, that's always fun. It is very satisfying to hit somebody with your stun. But you could do the same thing with bricks and bottles if you needed to, and overall, I just feel like that this is the one that offers the least amount of variety and the least amount of practicality when you're going through the trials, especially when you get into like Program X and things along those lines. So I personally have this one at the bottom of the list, but again, it's not like it's bad, and if you like running stun, don't come for me, okay? I know a lot of people say that X-ray is the worst one, but I think X-ray is a little bit better. So I personally really like X-ray. I know a lot of people say it's bad, but it really isn't that bad. It's definitely not as useful as the ones we haven't gotten to yet, but I don't think that you can call X-ray bad. Again, it depends on your playstyle. If you really like to go with the more stealth approach to the game, I think X-ray would be fantastic for you. I really like it because, again, I'm a completionist. I want to find all the evidence, all the posters, everything like that, and X-ray is the best way to do it. And it's also really helpful because I know the game is still in early access and I'm not giving Red Barrels any crap for that. But there are some issues with audio occlusion in the game, especially if you get to places where it's like a top floor and a bottom floor. Sometimes you'll hear enemies, hear a heartbeat, and you're not sure, are they above me, on the other side of the wall, are they below me? This doesn't happen too often, but there have definitely been times that I'll put on the X-ray because I think someone's right outside the door and they're actually above me and I can just leave. It's also really helpful playing solo, and I play this solo a lot. And being able to just know, are there any enemies there, so that way you can just quickly make your way to objectives. Very, very helpful. That being said, it's not as strong as the other ones, obviously, that we haven't gotten to yet. But I would never call X-ray bad, and if you like that kind of playstyle, then I definitely think you would have a fun time with X-ray. So I really had a hard time deciding whether or not I should put heal or blind next. I feel like you can make arguments that both of them are the best ones in the game, but what I've come to conclude is that heal is definitely more versatile while you're playing, but blind overall is stronger. But we'll talk about blind in a minute. I just want to focus on heal for right now. So benefits of heal are, you don't have to pick up med kits, you don't have to pick up psychosis antidotes unless obviously your rig isn't up when you need it. But it's so versatile, especially with poison and being able to stun enemies like that. I mean, I don't know why anybody would need to run stun if you have heal. Like, stun is just a worse version of mine, and heal can also stun enemies. So again, unless you really hate the traps, then you could run stun and get rid of traps, but other than that, I really think that running heal or blind is better than running stun, which is why I put stun all the way at the bottom. But heal is just obviously great. If you're playing solo, heal is probably going to be your bread and butter. You don't have to worry about going down. You don't have to worry about respawning and grabbing your items if you die, unless you just get caught in a really bad situation, which can happen. But as long as you are playing carefully, you shouldn't really have a problem. Only thing negative I feel like I can say about heal is that some of my friends who run it more consistently than I do have told me that they feel like they're a little reliant on it when they take it off, and I mean, if you don't mind having a crutch, then why not use it? You know, it's in the game, go ahead and use it. So that's really the only bad thing I can say about heal, is that it's so good that nobody wants to run anything else. So that's a testament to just how good this rig is. If you're starting out, this is probably the one that you want to go with unless you're worried about being reliant on it, because it is just so useful, especially when you're first learning the game, learning how the enemies work, trying not to get hit, and obviously the more you survive trials, the more tickets you can get and the more upgrades you can get. So overall, I would say go with heal, even though I don't think it's the strongest as your first choice. Again, unless you're worried that you're going to be reliant on it, if you're someone who likes to try different builds and stuff like that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump over to blind. So now onto the rig that I personally think is the strongest and the best one to run, especially when you get into the higher levels. This is blind. Blind is just so fucking good, guys. Like, the stun lasts way too long. You can literally just put it in the cage with Kill the Snitch and just let them hit it and electrocute the snitch, and most of the time you don't even have to run away, especially if you have the upgrade where you have a double charge. You can just run them in a circle, make them hit the mine again, and finish the mission. It's very, very, very useful. It is too overpowered in my own personal opinion, but it's great for someone like me who loves to speedrun games like Outlast. I'm a very impatient person. I don't like to sit in a corner and wait for the enemies to go away. I love just putting down a mine, having them hit it so I can get to the next part. So if you're someone like me and you don't like to play stealthy very often and you want to just get the objectives done as fast as possible, blind is the rig for you. Again, I don't know why anybody would run stun when you have blind. The only advantage stun has is that you can throw it at the enemies faster. That's really it. And blind also doesn't get rid of any of the traps on the ground, but if you don't run into the traps, you don't have to worry about it. And I've never run into a trap in my life. Don't ask any of the people I play with. I swear I've never hit a mine and I've never gone into psychosis. Scout's honor. But this, honestly, this is the rig that I'm addicted to. Like, if I'm not running it, I feel naked. Especially when you get into the higher levels and when you start knowing, like, the big enemy spawns, like where the cop is gonna come from, where Gooseberry is gonna come from. Even just the patterns of, like, the big naked guys on the maps and where they spawn. Like, you can just blow through missions super, super fast, which is why I've already rebirthed, like, 7 times. But if you're going to have a play style where you just want to get through missions and get tokens and get vouchers, go with blind. Again, I feel like I'm personally reliant on it, but it's because it's just too overpowered. So yeah, those are the 4 different rigs in Outlast. Obviously, pick the one that you think is going to fit your personal playstyle better. And as you level up, go ahead and just play around with different ones. Try them out, see what you like. I would definitely recommend at least getting to like level 3 on each one before you transfer to another one, unless you pick one that you absolutely hate, obviously. But overall, I feel like all of the rigs are pretty good. I'm sure as the game continues on and they release more content, we're gonna get more, and I'll make videos on those too. And if you like Outlast and if you want to see more content like this or gameplay or anything like that, go ahead and just leave a comment down below on what you would want to see, and I'll go make a video on it because I'm addicted to this game, and any reason to play it is good with me. But that's gonna do it for me tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night.